2006, 2006, 2006, 2006.
Yeah, but there's endless supply of digital audio space. Yeah, the closer you are, the less background noise I'll have with the damn computer.
Gotcha. I'm Jay Robertson. On this, the 38th edition of JamesPod, James presents the Internet Porno File of the Week and your voicemails. Stay tuned. It's going to be a great show.
Okay, do that again.
JamesPod. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't stand it. Oh my god. JamesPod. Oh my god. Oh my god.
From Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, this is JamesPod.
Hello, everybody. It's James. Welcome to another edition of Sneeze with James Whittingham. You know what? What we were listening to was my good friend since grade 6. Since we discussed how much of a box of Kraft dinner we could eat at lunchtime as we walked to school after watching the Flintstones in their respective homes in the Rosemont neighborhood of Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. That was Jay Robertson, voiceover artist, professional voiceover artist. Technically, I can't use him anymore, so I won't because he's union. But I have some old tapes of him doing my show intro from many years ago. God bless him. Lives in Saskatoon now. Hello, Jay. And hello to everybody who used to listen to my podcast many years ago called JamesPod. In the beginning days of podcasting, ladies and gentlemen, I was there. It was the Wild West, and I was dodging those weeds that blow and tumble. Tumbleweeds, yes. Dodging them in the Wild West. Me and my microphone in the prairies. And you know what we had? We had a special show called the Canadian Podcast Buffet back in those days. It was basically the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson for podcasting in Canada. And to get on that show was a real honor. And I made it on all the time because I just did.
It's been a full week since we've mentioned James Whittingham's name, so we'd be remiss in our duties if we didn't include him in this week's show. And this, you drew my attention to this one. This was classically funny.
He did a video simulcast of his podcast, and he puts it up on YouTube.
That's not the funny part.
Well, it is funny because you look at him.
Well, okay.
So it's pretty funny.
It's definitely worth a watch. I mean, I think you have to be strong enough to not be repulsed by some things, I suppose.
The goggles, they do nothing.
Yeah, that's right. But what I thought was classically funny is, and in case you haven't seen it, is James Whittingham doing this thing supposedly completely buck naked. At least certainly his upper torso was naked. And Todd Maffin's picture on the wall, perfectly framed behind him, overlooking him. It literally looks like it's looking down on him.
That, of course, was Mark Blevis and the late, great Bob Goyetche. We miss you, Bob. God bless your family and your children. And, Bob passed away a few years ago. Very sad, and it's difficult to hear his voice again. But it cheers me up because he was a funny man, and he left an impression upon all of us who knew him. Never met the man in person. Still left a very positive impression that I'll take with me to my grave. And being positive to other people can influence you, so be good to each other. Now, Mark is still with us, and I did have a chance to meet Mark at a shopping mall a few years ago now. And Mark was kind enough to audition for my sidekick position here on Sneeze. That
is rather funny. That is rather funny.
Oh, it's not.
That is rather.
Okay, I got to turn that off. Yeah, and Mark is automated here as a sidekick for the rest of the show. Thank you, Mark.
That is rather funny.
Yeah, he's malfunctioning, Mark. The Mark 5000 is malfunctioning. But I will say, it's a big step up from the Mark 2000. That's all I'm going to say. Big step up from the Mark 2000, which was just terrible. Shat its pants all the time. Anyway, hello, Mark, and hello to everybody across Canada for my first Canadian National Day of Podcasting podcast on Sneeze. This is a thing that happens December 1st, and I've thought about it for decades, because at the beginning of the show, we heard me preparing for a show in 2006. That's a long time ago. My daughter wasn't even born then. It was a long time. Things were different. And when we talked about putting a video on YouTube, I was the only guy on YouTube, pretty much. Well, there was a few people. And I hate them because they're still there making millions of dollars. But there was not that many people. Not that many people on YouTube. It was brand new. It was, and I decided to put my podcast up. And then that's what actually got me out of podcasting, is because I started to get, eventually millions of views on YouTube, mostly just from 2 videos with a provocative thumbnail, which I walked away from YouTube and came back and found millions of people had watched my stupid videos after I had left for 3 years. So yeah, podcasting, it just didn't work for me back then. It just didn't work for me. I was used to larger audiences for the work that I did, and I couldn't get past 100 subscribers, it seemed like. And, there's now 1 million podcasters. Back then, there wasn't 1 million podcast listeners, I don't think. It was raw and wild, and I've always been a part of early things. I was putting video on the internet in 1997, 98, Real Video, brand name files, Real Video. Had the 56K version and the 28K version for those of you with slower modems, and tiny little stamp-size video files that were highly pixelated. But I was there. We were in the top 100 because nobody else was doing it. And by doing that, NBC called and wanted to do a pilot. But the pilot, long story, the pilot never took off. They were going to take videos from the internet and put them on TV. It never took off. They wanted 4 of our videos, though. They actually paid for them. And yeah. But of course, like so many things from my early comedy career and my late comedy career, and especially the middle part of my comedy career, things never seem to work out. But here I am podcasting because I'm not going to die doing nothing. And that's where we're at right now. So shout out to the Canadian Podcast Buffet and all the Canadian podcasters. They used to do a conference every year, which I, of course, could not afford to go to. Could not afford to go, but I did coverage of it. And early days of podcasting. These people, they paved the road. They paved the road for podcasters everywhere. They paved the road for the million jackasses who are podcasting now. That road was paved for you, so you're not blowing tires on it, baby. These people should be heroes. They should be getting the Order of Canada. But that's the way I feel. Canadian National Day of Podcasting. Hashtag CNDOP. CNDOP. Supposed to use that hashtag. Nobody is, but I'm using it. At the day Broadback, I said, what am I supposed to do? And he says, I want a JamesPod episode. Yeah, screw you, Broadback. You know what? You want Mark? You know what to do.
I shall add that to the running list of Dr. Broadbeck's crimes.
Yeah. Long list. Multiple pages. Lots of trees going down for that list. Thank you, Mark. Anyway. I thought I'd do something that harkened back to the JamesPod days. You know, once I did a podcast in my shower and explained how to have a shower. I thought I had some good tips there. Very good tips on hygiene and how to shower, but that they don't exist anymore. These files, they don't exist. Also did one that I remember was different than all the rest, and that is where I had sort of a soundboard of a computer voice getting men off. Because I had this Skype account and I wanted people to phone into my podcast, but nobody would. For months, not a single person would phone in. And on Skype back then, it was like a welcome thing. It was like a thing that you did. You know, the whole Global Village thing was taking off and you would connect with strangers, and but no one did. Until I changed my name from James to Cindy. Suddenly, the thing wouldn't stop fucking ringing. It was ringing constantly. People wanted to talk to me. I didn't even change my profile. I still had hairy old James up there, and people were phoning me like crazy. So I decided, after answering a couple of calls and finding out that they're perverts calling and getting mad at this, I did a computer voice with like 20 different sayings. And one of them was like, I have no hands. And another one was,
I think Adam Sandler is funny.
And the first call I got, 5 minutes after the call started, you heard the man ejaculating. I'm sorry. I know you're having dinner. I know it's going to get worse. I know you're doing things, and I know that's disgusting, and it was for me. But I had this adrenaline off of it, and I did it for the whole weekend. I got millions of guys that, well, that's not true. But I made my soundboard more absurd, like I have no hands, and Adam Sandler is funny, just as somebody is climaxing on the other end. And trying to spoil it, and it didn't work. These perverts, they bought into anything. a computer voices of a woman saying the stupidest things, and suddenly it was Skype sex without the video because Cindy didn't have a camera. Anyway, that was weird. Certainly one of my memorable episodes, but not something that I did on a regular basis. I'm not a prankster, and I feel like I have mixed emotions with the whole ethics of the things. I have kids now. I don't know. It seemed wrong. I didn't think it would actually work. That's the problem. I set into that, and I didn't think it would actually work. First one, it worked. Then there was a few where it didn't work. And they caught on. There was like, a bunch of bros at a frat house. Hey, that's not real. You hear that from the background. And then there was people who sort of played along with it. But I would say 5% of the people got it and the rest did not. And it was quite an experiment about how men are pigs, especially, a lot of these people from other parts of the world, and English wasn't their first language necessarily. That might have had something to do with it. I felt bad about that. I still, to this day, I feel a little bit bad about that. I apologize to the men of Turkey who just wanted to get off. I'm sorry about that. And Turkey hasn't really worked out all that great. I'm not terribly impressed with Turkey. Anyway, so I'm going to harken back to the days of JamesPod, and I'm going to give you a tour of my bidet, okay? We've heard a lot of talk about my bidet, but it is very important that you know how to use one, because I know most of you don't have a bidet. I know you haven't gone to the trouble of getting one, and you're stupid. I'll tell you that right now. You're dumb as fuck, okay?
Gesundheit.
Now I can swear, Mark. It's okay. You need a bidet. And I'm going to explain why you need a bidet by giving you a tour of my bidet and how to use it. All right? It's not as gross as it sounds. It's not as gross as it. Don't turn the podcast off. You'll be a better person if you listen to this podcast and understand what a bidet is. So let's go now to my bathroom and tour my bidet. All right, this is James. I'm in my bathroom, and we are going to look at the bidet. Excuse me. That's not COVID. It's not. Although I will have my stools examined. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, the bidet is hooked up to the sink here. So I'm going to run the sink. I'm running hot water on the sink until it turns hot from the basement. It takes a while for the water to get from the hot water heater upstairs, because you don't want to squirt ice cold winter Regina water on your anus, because it'll just make it clench up. You can't have a clenched anus in this situation. What you want to do is you want to relax it and keep it, you want to give birth to the healthiest, fullest baby you can. And the way not to do that, certainly, is to blow ice cold water on it, which I've done many times. Okay, we have warm water here. Actually, it's hot, quite scaldingly hot, actually, surprisingly. Now, all right, so going to sanitize the toilet seat. Okay, that's good. That's good. Don't push that while you're on the toilet seat. Just looking for some toilet paper. You want to have some toilet paper here for the cleanup. So I'm just going to make sure there's a roll ready to go. And there's nothing to clean up. It's just you'll drip all over the place because it's like a car wash. Now, the first thing we do, and this is important, this is a crucial step here, is you want to set it to the cleaning mode. You want to set the bidet to the cleaning mode. Now, it's got one for your anus and one for your urethra if you're a woman, so it shoots it in two different places. So set it to to the cleaning mode. Set it to the cleaning mode to turn it on. Now what we're doing is we're running warm water. By the way, I have a temperature adjusted tap on there on the bidet. It's in the middle. So I'm running warm water through the cleaning mode, which is cleaning the bidet shooters themselves, which are hidden behind plastic so you don't have to look at them in case they do have something on them. I've never seen them. So water is shooting out the back like a waterfall. That protects the back of the toilet from any staining or difficulty. So plus it keeps it warm. Another option is to just run this instead of your tap while you're doing your business. So now we're going to sit down. before that, I'm just going to grab a Fiber One bar. It's a brownie, a chocolatey fudge. Chocolatey means it's not chocolate. 20% of your recommended fiber for an entire day. So you eat 5 of these, which would be pretty easy because they're small. It's pretty tasty. I mean, it doesn't taste cardboardy. It doesn't. That's good. Once it's brown, so it gets you in the mood. One thing that I should point out is that I have, in my haste, left it on urethra mode and turned on the bidet to preheat it, thinking that it was on cleaning mode, and it literally will shoot you in the face. And so you scream, and there's not much you can do. You eventually stop it. You hope your family doesn't notice. Screaming's pretty high-pitched. You're soaking wet. All you're trying to do is have a bowel movement, and it starts off poorly. So I've done that about 3 times, but not for a long time, I'm happy to say. All right, let's go and finish this brownie. Pretty tasty. I think if I have a couple of these a day, I'll be pretty gassy. But if you fiber up, it's certainly going to go easier. Okay. Well, I can't get over how good that is. Let's look at the calories on that. 25 grams, 90 calories, and yet 20% of your daily fiber. Very tasty. Highly recommend Fiber One brownie, chocolatey brownie. And I just dropped some on the bathroom floor. That's great. People are going to think I shot on the floor now. I have to make sure I get that cleaned up. You can't leave brown on the floor. Let's clean it up. Okay, so we've preheated the bidet quite nicely. I'm just wiping my mouth. Yeah. I used some toilet paper to wipe my mouth and it's all brown. That's weird. Being in the bathroom, seeing that. Okay. But now we're going to sit on the thing here. Comfortable. Now there's no splashing yet. You can hear the bidet running in the background with warm water. Now let's just say I'm going to shit right now, okay? What the fuck did I eat? All right. Now just a warning. The warm water in the toilet will heat up your stool and give it sort of a shit stew, like a hot stew. If you had hot stew made it a fecal matter, that's what it's. Yeah, that's kind of a drawback. All right. Now what you want to do is make sure the valve is in the middle so it's not too hot. You scold your ass, it will hurt, and there's nothing worse than the smell of burnt anus. All right. So now it's on the cleaning mode. Now what I want to do is switch it slowly from cleaning to anus. Now that will open up the trap door and start to fire the jets towards the spot. Okay, now I'm doing it. And it just hit. It just knows where to go. Okay, it's fairly warm. I'm going to adjust it a little hotter. And, okay. Now, just to experiment, if you're a man and you move it up towards your urethra, what happens? I get that question a lot. And, okay, that's where it would be. Interesting. Huh. I thought it'd be more forward. Anyway, okay, going back to the anus and squeaky clean. What you want to do is you maybe wiggle around a little bit. Look to your left, look to your right. A little movement goes a long way. Now, there's no shame in just sitting here for a while and just making sure it's all done. If you're too fast, you may not be done. You want to be done. You want to be clean enough that it's the Queen would eat dinner off your ass. You know, that sparkling Buckingham Palace level of clean, which we've achieved here with fairly warm water. I'll see if I make it a little warmer. No, that's too far. Okay. Oh no! I've relaxed too much. You see, if you stay on here too much and you relax, it will loosen the sphincter and you will get an enema. And that's where we're at now. So I'm just going to back off the water. Now, a simple small amount of toilet paper, just for drying the water that's still dripping down there. And you're done. And that's a bidet. Oh, don't forget the flush.
Clean as a whistle, they say.
That's right, Mark. Clean as a whistle. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a bidet. And you should go out and buy one, because you can buy one for $80 and they're easy to hook up. You know what? They hook right into your little hose under your sink that goes to your tap. Get the ones that hook to the hot water. You don't want to be shooting cold. You want to be shooting warm and cold. You can splurge. I mean, I'm poor. You can go out and get a $400, $500 one. Costco's even selling them. I think they got little air dryers on there, you know, so you don't have to wipe the anus down afterwards. There's no dripping involved. You just a one-stop operation. Get yourself a bidet. It changed. And then in the toilet paper crisis, I can't say it enough. In the COVID, you don't have to worry about that. And you will never, ever walk out of the toilet again not being 100% clean. Anyway, that's it for this special Canadian National Day of Podcasting edition of Sneeze. We'll be back again shortly with 2020 Part 2. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to Sneeze. Spread the love. Tell your friends.
Participants of JamesPod will receive 100 square feet of Z-Brick, Canada's first name in wall covering.